So, Ben, what year did you join up to the gym?
2014.
Same as me, 2014.
Yeah.
Good old Zap Fitness,
Yeah.
Edwardstown. Shout out.
Classic. They always got to shout out the bastards.
They do.
Yeah.
Great gym,
It is.
still running.
Yeah.
So we can comfortably say that we have been part of a gym and training for 12 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Time flies by so
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. Consistency is up and down for me. But I think the past 2 years, I can say comfortably that I'm locked in.
Yeah. So many things have changed over the years as well in regards to research in the health and fitness space as well. I think there's a lot of things
Big
that
time.
you and I have believed of back in the day that 12 years on are probably not as relative anymore. So we wanted to speak about a couple of things that we've noticed along our journey and things that we maybe don't believe in, and our mindset has changed amongst a lot of topics. So we're going to dive straight in.
Wouldn't you love to talk to like 12 years ago Sam
Oh,
as current Sam and just pick his brain?
yeah, if only we knew what we knew now back then. I mean, we would catapult our progress
Yeah.
tenfold.
It's all part of it though.
It is, yeah.
Not a lot of people knew what we know
No,
back then, I guess, if we're like keeping up with the recency.
yeah. There's, like I said, the research has changed so much, so there was no way for us to know all of this new research back then when we started. A lot of it was just bodybuilding.com.
Max's super thick shakes.
Yeah. You know,
C4.
checking out the blogs, Massive Joe's, bodybuilding.com, Reddit, like all of these
Reddit.
forums
Holy
that
moly.
you would just jump on and just find out this information. It was sort of like a bit of trial and error. And although like there's so much more research out now and there's so many more optimal ways to train, I mean, I would say that time was probably the most fun time to train when
I was going to say that, yeah.
things
You're just
weren't
figuring
optimal.
it out and having
Yeah.
fun.
Everyone
Yeah.
was the same. You would just rock up and be like, hey, I'm trying this and it seems to be working.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I'll try that. And you go, oh, that feels good. Or that doesn't feel good. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. The worst lifting techniques of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a fun time. And I think where the enjoyment lies is somewhere in the middle. Like I think if you just go down the full optimal path of making sure that your training's 100% optimal and your nutrition's all optimal and you're not doing anything out of the ordinary, it becomes awfully boring. You know, I think even if there is an exercise that you do that maybe isn't the most optimal, but you enjoy it and you get progress out of it, maybe that's okay.
Yeah. Like, yes, the 5 degrees of stretch will make a difference over 12 months.
Yep.
But it's cool if you don't like reach across your body to do a lat pull through.
Yeah.
Like that's okay.
That's
You'll still get your stimulus by the old school methods.
Just doing an old school dumbbell lateral raise
Oh.
will be just fine.
Yuck.
Yeah. One thing that comes to mind when I think about things that I used to do, which I don't do now, is I used to train 6 days a week religiously.
And not recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was insane. And that was, you know, training through deficits and build phases. And I would just absolutely smash myself into the ground. And I guess during that time, I lived a very flexible lifestyle. I worked at the gym and I was a photographer, and I started work at 10 a.m. at the gym, and I used to edit photos when I was behind the desk. I used to sleep 8+ hours a night. You know, things were very different back then. So I could recover and I could take my time to really look after my nutrition.
Yep.
But I guess as life progressed over that 12 years, for me, I found that training 6 days became very difficult. And it was when I did my second bodybuilding prep, my coach said, hey, you're actually going to do 5 days training per week.
Whoa.
And for me, I was like, all right, hang on.
Yeah.
I like training 6 days. Like I'm going to lose a day, I'm going to lose progress. But a bit of a mindset changed for me where I trained less days, but it made me put in more effort on those 5 days, right? So
Yep.
my training split was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, rest Thursday, train Friday, Saturday, rest Sunday, and repeat.
Yeah.
Having those rest days split up was really important,
Yeah.
and made me push harder. So, and now fast forward even further, I train 3 days per week.
Yeah.
And even some weeks I'm like, whew, 3 days, that's quite a
Uh,
lot. I couldn't imagine
Yeah.
training 6 days at the moment because of, the responsibilities I have as a business owner and gym owner and also a dad and
Yeah.
husband. Um, times are busy. 3 days is enough.
Yeah, and I guess that's something we've spoken about before is the 6 and 5 days a week were part of your rise. And I feel like you've said many times before, you're at a point where 3 days is enough. You're going to get enough stimulus to maintain what you want.
Mm.
And even when we started 2 years ago, you had me doing 5 days a week, and that's reduced now to 3 and 4 days. And that, over those 2 years, I've built, I'd say, a significant amount of muscle compared to
Yep.
what I had before. And I am still looking to build, but things have changed for me as well. Owning a business and having a partner and, having responsibilities with my friends and stuff like that as well. That's all changing. Everyone's getting bloody married. So yeah, and I don't know. I think I enjoy it more now. There's less of that responsibility. And I think another thing that we should talk about is working sets.
Yeah.
Maybe back in the day, you probably used to do 5 working sets?
Yeah, well, I remember there was like a extended hypertrophy rep range going around where you would do 5 working sets and you would start off on, I think it was 15, 12, 10, 8, 6. And you would smash yourself. Like it was super duper fatiguing. And you would finish the set and you'd just be cooked.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that you're not just doing that one exercise, you're doing multiple exercises,
Yeah.
8 exercises
6
per,
times a week.
Yeah, 6 times a week. So, like a normal training session would probably take you 2 hours.
Yeah.
Very normal.
Yeah.
And, thinking back then, like with the intensity that I used to train at, like I probably trained at a 70% intensity for those 6 days versus now I train at 90 to 100% 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah.
look at that, training 3 days a week at 100% versus training 6 days at, say, 70%, the results are probably going to end up to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
As long as you're hitting all your muscle groups.
Yeah, 100%. And even like if people struggle with days in the gym and reducing days in the gym, there are days where you can come in the gym and just focus on your recovery.
Yeah.
And you're still in the gym, you're still making progress. Like not many people do it. It sounds boring, but it's just a way that you can. I don't do it for instance, but I've suggested it to a few people that I do through massage. When they're looking to do recovery, it's like go to the gym. Make it feel like not a chore. Make it feel like you're going somewhere to get work done. Go to a gym, go to that environment. It's much more of a entertaining type of thing to do for yourself than stay at home and fucking follow a YouTube video, because that won't last. So we've definitely changed our minds on things like that.
Yeah.
Like now what I'm doing is I've never done 4 working sets in my life. I don't think I was around into that more. And it's also about what you're looking for. Like people today still go for it. Do you 3 working sets? Do you 4 working sets? If you're training maybe 4 times a week, as long as you're eating enough food and recovering properly and you feel okay subjectively, then that's fine.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
It's just not feasible for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, look, I have plenty of clients that still do 3 working sets.
Yeah.
And I think that we've said it on the podcast before that you kind of have to earn your right to be able to reduce your sets down. Like, if I've got a newbie in the gym, I'm not going to put them on 1 to 2 working sets because their intensity is not there yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's safer to put them up to, 3, even more working sets in some instances because they're still learning the exercise. They can still reap all the rewards of doing 3+ working sets until they're lifting a lot of weight, and then you might have to reduce them back to 2 sets in order for them to continue to progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that another part of what we've both changed our minds about comes after working out. The old anabolic window.
Oh, mate.
When to eat, what to eat.
Yep.
Yeah.
The post-workout anxiety
Yeah.
around, well, I better get my protein shake in because I have to eat, you know.
Straight away, and you just poo it out.
Yeah, I just remember there was a
Immediately.
time where there was a crew of us at Zap, and we would all train together on a Friday afternoon. Everyone would knock off early, would train arms. It was good fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And then at the time I was building, and I just thought like I had to get a protein shake in. Like I didn't really understand the whole process of what a protein shake did. Like it obviously increases your protein intake. But at the time when I was in the early days, I just thought like, oh, well, you have to have a protein shake after your workout. Otherwise your workout's, ruined.
Yeah.
So I cranked my protein shake, and then I added dextrose in there as well, which is a fast acting carbohydrate. So I was building, I was bulking, I was trying to build muscle. So I smacked that down, and then we all went out for dinner straight away across the road, and I got a steak, and I sat there and I was like, I couldn't eat it. I was like, I'm so full from the protein shake that I just smashed that. Like I just couldn't eat it. So funny times, but yeah, the new research around, muscle protein synthesis is spiked for up to 24 to 36 hours after your workout. So, that being said though, it's probably in your best interest to get a decent amount of protein in, probably at least 2 to 4 hours after your workout, just so that you can get a kickstart on the muscle building
and
process.
Sleep with that food in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that being said, like if you've eaten high protein for that particular day, then that protein will get digested.
You're still digesting it.
Yeah. And be used for muscle protein synthesis.
Yeah, and protein obviously is a little bit of a slower digesting macronutrient compared to, let's say, fast-acting carbs like your honey or, your carb drink or rice and things like that, which is a little bit faster.
I think with the whole anabolic window, I think we have the supplement brands to thank for that. Well, maybe not thank, but I remember, in the Optimum Nutrition tubs, it was like, you have to have this protein shake 30 minutes after your workout. And, it's not based off of any research in particular. It's just all marketing, and if you work out 6 days a week, you're going to have 6 scoops of protein per week, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically just to get you to eat more protein.
Yeah.
But if you're already hitting your protein intake for the day, you don't need that protein shake.
Yeah.
Protein powder is only there to bump up your protein needs. It's a supplement at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I guess they'll brand it in a way where you're not going to gain muscle if you don't have protein powder at all.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to eat that steak in the next 30 minutes. Like better get your protein shake in, or you trained for no reason.
Yeah, well, it's the most convenient way to get your protein in. Like you're not going to get out the little gas cooker at the gym and cook a rump steak after your workout, but it's very easily to just chuck some water in your protein shake, scoop in there, shake it up, and away you go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of supplements.
Yes.
There's a lot of supplements I've changed my mind on.
Yeah?
Not recently anymore, but I think...
I hope it wasn't recent.
Yeah, I think maybe before we got back into our training and I was sort of taking myself through a cut in 2024, I walked myself into a chemist and spoke to a naturopath to my demise, and said that I was already eating fine. I was already eating what I needed to in terms of vegetables and mixing up the colors and all that stuff. And I asked for recommendations on a greens powder. Guess how long that lasted when I bought the greens powder? It was cheap. It wasn't expensive.
Maybe a week.
Probably.
Yep.
Probably a week. And it sat in the fridge. It was a nice little mantelpiece in the fridge for, a couple of months.
Lovely.
And eventually got thrown out. So I've definitely changed my mind on greens powders. And I think that they're super complex and they upset your gut. Even if you have a fine gut, a gut of steel, I think they're still just not what it's looking for. It doesn't feel natural.
Yeah.
As natural as these brands say they are, it's stored in a fucking tub on a shelf, you know, and it's been ground up and processed and it's green. It's not even green. It's brown. And it just looks gross. It tastes gross. And I think that, you know, I cook my veggies like I cook my meat and it's great. It's so much better. Any supplements you've come around on or changed your mind on?
Well, just on the greens powders, I think it's a Band-Aid for a lot of people. I think people take it because they're being shit with their diet. Let's be real. They're not eating their fruit and their vegetables and they go, well, what can I do in order to not eat my fruit and veg but still get the nutrients? Oh, a greens powder. Well, what do you think is going to be better? A fresh fruit or vegetable or a powdered version of that? Well, obviously, the fresh version of it is going to be fine.
Fruit's so good.
It's going to be way better than the powdered version. And for those people that don't like vegetables, grow up. Like, honestly, seriously, like you're not cooking them well.
Yeah, cook it a different way.
Cook it
That's
a different
what I would
way.
have said, yeah.
You don't have to eat an apple a day. Try some different fruits that you actually like and enjoy. We're so lucky nowadays, like we have frozen vegetables. Like we don't have to wait for fruit or veg to be in season. We can have frozen fruit and veg all year round. And frozen fruit and veg are the second best alternative to fresh because frozen freezes all the nutrients.
Yeah.
So they're great. You thaw it out and it's just as good.
Exactly. And yeah, I cook. Yeah, you just got to simplify things to get in those different nutrients and different fruits and veggies. Like I just all the time now, I'm just throwing everything in one fucking pot. And like, sure, I've gotten to the point where I'm okay to steam my veggies and stuff because I find other ways to make it tasty or whatever it might be. And maybe on the weekend I'll treat myself to a different recipe, but you can just like cook your veggies like you cook your steak. Bit of salt, bit of pepper, bit of oil, bit of fat, chuck it in the pan. Fucking tastes awesome. Have you heard of garlic?
Yeah.
Crank some garlic in there as well. And it's just so much better. I feel like you just feel better. It's also a mental thing where you're like, I've actually eaten my veg.
Yeah.
And my fruit.
Yeah, but like going back to answering your question, like I think the biggest one for me is just protein powder, you know, from thinking about, you know, what you actually need versus what you don't need, you know, thinking back to those early days, like was I hitting my protein intake? Yeah, I was. Was I having protein powder anyway? Yeah, multiple times per day. Did I need that? No. Was I wasting my money? Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to calculate. And if you're taking protein powder and not counting your calories and your protein, what's the point, you know, because you don't actually know how much protein you're getting in. I'm not saying you have to track every day, but just track a couple of days. And then if you're short by 25 grams, 50 grams, have 1 to 2 scoops of protein to bump yourself up or just have more protein throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, you know, there's all these other supplements that we could talk about to do with pre and post training, more so to do with tablets and powders and stuff like that. But I think a great rule of thumb is to try and get it naturally as much as possible, where possible, if you can afford to. If you can't and it's like impossible, then maybe look into it. Probably speak to a PT beforehand though.
Yeah. One more.
Yeah.
Branch chain amino acids.
Yeah, I thought we were going to go to BCAAs.
Yeah, BCAAs.
Yeah.
That's something that I used to crush. Like I was a fiend for them, mainly for the taste, like the taste and the hydration.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's something that you drink during your workout, and like, you know, it's just branch chain amino acids. It's not a complete protein, so is it going to benefit from you from a recovery standpoint? Maybe, potentially. But if you're already hitting your protein intake, probably not. You know, you're just putting more into your protein intake. So I would say an essential amino acid would be a better option, but I would only recommend those to probably someone who's like vegan, vegetarian, who doesn't eat much meat-based products.
Here's a supplement for you. Coconut water. They're doing all different flavors. They've got everything you need in there.
Yep.
Great recovery, carbs.
Yep. Electrolytes.
Post workout.
Yeah.
Get it in you.
Yeah. They are good.
And they taste, all right, the normal coconut water doesn't taste good. H2 chocolate coconut water.
Yep.
Thank me later.
Yep. Very good.
I think an important part of training and lifestyle and staying consistent is giving yourself a bit of breathing room, giving yourself meals or days of the week where maybe if you have a partner or you by yourself or whichever, you cook for yourself and you cook something a little bit different or you go out to eat. I think what I've definitely changed my mind about since 2014 and different cutting phases is being super restrictive on my foods. This is just for a general population type of thing. Bodybuilding is a completely different scenario where we're completely restricting having the same exact thing every day, every morning, lunch and night, which sure, if you do it, the results are going to be crazy physically.
Yep.
Mentally, the results might not be as good. You might drive yourself a little bit mad. And I think that you can 100% nowadays, especially now, find ways to go out to different restaurants that don't have their caloric intake. There are restaurants that have their caloric intake. And they might not break down the macros for you, but they've got a kilojoule recommendation. Just quickly on kilojoules, can we change it to fucking calories, please, in Australia? It's so annoying.
So weird, isn't it?
It's like so American of us. Anyway. I think that it's, such an accessible thing to do now that if you're starting out and you're hitting that 70 to 80% adherence, then you're going to see your results. And if you need to adjust, you can adjust along the way.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I think there's definitely something in there to add in flexibility. I think when we first start out, we think like, we need to eat clean all the time. And, sure, we should be eating majority, minimally processed foods, which long behold are clean foods, but you can add in some treat-based foods into that. And I fell into that trap myself, even before my bodybuilding days where, I thought I needed to eat these certain foods in order to achieve my physique goals. But once I learned a little bit more about food density and energy balance and whatnot, that's when I realized that, food is energy. Different food has different energy. It's just a matter of making sure that I'm hitting my energy requirements whilst hitting my specific macros and my micronutrient goals. And I can change my meals up on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I'm still a big believer that, your routine is key. And I think that there should be some similarities in your day. I think if you are someone that needs a different breakfast every single morning and different lunch and a different dinner, like that's going to be very difficult.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. I would say same breakfast, maybe have, your lunches are fairly similar throughout the week. Maybe the weekends are different. Maybe the dinner meal is something that you change up every night.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But there needs to be some similarities throughout the week to keep you on track.
Yeah, and I think if you've got a young family as well, kids want variety. They want like if I swear back in the day, if I had spag bog 2 nights in a row, I'd probably be losing my mind as a kid. But yeah, and if this is something we've spoken about before, and it's something that I currently do with my partner, just for an example, is I'll have my own breakfast every morning, which is like wheat bix. I have protein powder every morning. I'm in a little bit of a lower end of food, so that helps me with my protein goal. Bit of yogurt, bit of peanut butter, and that's just an overnight thing, which is great. Lunch is the same. And then dinner, we will cook a batch, maybe for 2 to 3 to 4 days, and then we'll be like, oh, cool, let's change that up. And that keeps variety. It's still sustainable and easy to maintain throughout, the weeks, the years, and the months with our nutrition goals.
So, with all the new research coming out with optimal training, optimal nutrition, we're in this world of training optimal, and out of that comes some pretty funky exercises that you might be seeing.
I see some shockers.
Yeah, and funky meals, and all of this is coming up on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And look, I've fallen into the trap of it myself, being a coach, and I've tried to try out some of these new exercises, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, like this feels nice, and I start implementing it into my own program. Being I would classify myself and yourself as advanced trainers. Little flex there, but the thing that I found was I typically do tend to program a lot of the things that I do into my clients' programs. And what I found myself doing is programming some of these new complex exercises into newbie clients. Maybe it's their first time into the gym and they're like, I need to like set up a bench, and I need to set up these cuffs with a rope and booty bands and all this stuff. And it's super overwhelming, when they can get virtually the same stimulus from just doing it with, a booty band or just cables. You don't have to overcomplicate it.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to get at is, keeping things simple. The old saying, KISS, keep it simple, Sally.
Yeah,
we don't call people stupid here.
No.
I think simplicity is key, right? We can overcomplicate things. The actual principle of muscle gaining and fat loss, it's quite simple on the surface.
Yeah.
But we tend to get bored of doing the same thing over and over again. But that's it. It is monotonous. It is boring. So you need to lean into that, and the way that you can keep it exciting is progressing, overloading.
Chasing goals.
Yep. Chase your goals. Yep. Making sure that you've got a clear path of what your said goal is.
Yep.
So that it keeps it interesting along the way.
I've said it 57,000 times on this podcast. I fucking love chasing after the extra 2.5 kilos, man. I always mention bench press and like dumbbell chest press. It's just the best feeling when you finally get to the, from the 25s to the 30s, you're like, holy shit. It's the best feeling ever. So yes, keeping it simple and finding ways within that simplicity to enjoy and progress, and that is how you progress. You keep things the same, and you just get stronger and stronger and better at them. And you will eventually come to a point where you're like, and you might not even know it, where you're like keen to try something else that's a simple exercise, but it's just a different exercise. Yeah. It's still simple. It's still a simple movement. It's old school, and you're able to maintain your consistency.
Yeah, and there's no harm in trying new things as well. Like, I think with all the new research coming out, like, I think it's important to try these new things. But if you are a newbie in the gym, like, you kind of have to nail the basics before you jump into those complex exercises, because that's a bit of a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's tough, I think, from the beginning of my personal training career. I'm helping out a couple of people, and some of them haven't been in a gym before, or have just started out, or they've been trained by other people who might be their mates or whatever it may be. And I think just relegating to, right, first week training with me, we're not going to be pushing weights. We're not going to we're probably not going to find your true working weight this week. This week, we're going to have so much fun focusing on your breathing, focusing on stabilizing your core and your hips, depending on what we're doing, and focusing on your technique. Once we get those right, enough, and then I'm okay with you going to train by yourself, or you're more confident going to train by yourself, then we can start to really pick up the weight and find that intensity that then we can work on, and then we can start progressing and doing it that way.
Yeah.
So the start of it can be boring, but we can find different ways to, like, the breathing is probably the most boring part of it, but it's such an important part of training for new people where they like forget how to breathe.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then they pass out. I've had a couple of light headers in their first couple of sessions in the gym with me. But yeah.
That'll do it. Yeah. I mean, if you're going into the gym every single week and you're following the same program and you're not progressing on things because you're not pushing yourself, that's going to be pretty boring. Yeah. But if you're going into the gym and you're, like I said, you're putting that little 2.5 kilo on, or you're getting an extra rep, that's exciting.
That's a win.
Huge
That's
win.
a tick.
When you see at the end of the workout, if you follow a training app like, we use, Trainerize, it gives you a little PB, a little dopamine hit to be like, hey, you got 3 PBs in that workout. That's what you chase.
Yeah. It's just a nice little win. Like you see it at the end of your session, you're like, fuck yeah. And then even if I have a client and, I'm a lot of the time just locked in on the session and sometimes I can't remember if like they have added 1.25 to their workout, and I'll just say at the end, like 6 PBs today, believe it or not, from last week. And that doesn't mean you didn't work hard the week before. That just means we're finding little ways to increase your resistance, and it feels great. And I'm at the point with a lot of my clients now, especially when they've now been with me for probably 3 months minimum, that their intensity is up. I don't even have to ask them what their intensity was for that session. I'm just like, yep, that's a 9, that's a 10, or that's a 5 because you were faking it.
Yeah. We can see right through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Simplicity is the key to consistency, I think, with the gym and with nutrition.
Yes.
As well. I guess we already sort of spoke about that. It's just dial it the fuck back. On Saturday night, cook yourself that fucking wonton soup, bloody mishmash 57 ingredient thing. When you have a bit more time.
100%. Throughout the week, keep it simple. Same again with on the training, on the nutrition side. There's so many recipes out there, so many high protein recipes to try, and it's like I mentored a guy, Ben Moore, and he like does the reviews on the meals.
Nice.
And he's grown his account to like a stupid amount, like 1 million followers.
Oh, hectic.
Really, really cool guy. Like, go check him out. And he reviews all these high protein recipes, and like most of the time they're shit. Like, they're low calorie and high protein. They taste like
dates, bananas, and cottage cheese.
Yeah. They just taste like crap. And then, the ones that do taste good are typically obviously high calories. So I think don't fall for the hype, just go on, simple, and go for something that's convenient, that is like low ingredient as well, that you can meal prep for, say, the entire week, or at least a couple of days, so that you're not needing to go to the shops every couple of days and buy 20 new ingredients, because that's expensive, especially if the recipe turns out to be shit. Then you've got all these ingredients that you're never going to use again.
Yeah, and I think a good way to keep it simple while changing it up is just trying to keep your proteins the same during the week.
Yeah.
Like chicken, beef mince as the most boring and bland answer I could give you. And then have fish on the weekend. Have your fucking crab legs on Sunday night. But yeah, keeping the proteins the same so that you don't waste money.
Yeah.
Like, you can buy it in bulk and maybe buy ingredients that can be used in different ways, but obviously you can figure that out.
Yep.
Sammy, I think recently I've seen you warming up a little bit more in the gym and throwing around one of your shoulders. There's something going on there. You've still been training, but I've noticed that you might have a little bit of a niggle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was in Queensland a few weeks ago for a concert and to see my good friend up there, Shannon. And in the hotel that he stays at, they had a pool, and we were in the pool, and, I thought it was a good idea to see if I could swim 2 links underwater without taking a breath, as you do.
Yeah.
And I did 1 lap, no worries, and I touched the wall, and with great force, I did a quick 180, pulled through the water, dislocated my shoulder and then popped it back into joint again.
Oh, beautiful.
So sublux
yeah.
of the shoulder. It felt rather crunchy directly after doing that, followed by, a dull ache for
Beautiful.
the following days. So, yeah, it's funny how these injuries, like, I don't think I've had a serious injury in the gym. Touch wood.
Yeah.
Everything happens outside of the gym.
Yeah.
And,
I'm the same.
I think I'm partially hypermobile around like my elbows, wrist, and shoulders anyway. So the sublux, it has actually happened before once to my knowledge, probably again when I was a kid without my knowledge. But yeah, that's actually, it's the same side that I broke my collarbone on as well. So maybe there's some things going on. Maybe it's a weaker shoulder. I'm not sure. But yeah, that was 3 weeks ago. And I've had to make modifications to my training.
But you didn't stop.
I didn't stop. No. I looked at it in a way of like, look, this has happened before, and I went to the physio previously about it, and they gave me some rehab to do, some external, internal rotation with some bands, really simple stuff. And I felt like I would give it a week. And if I didn't see any improvement whilst doing my exercises, I would book in with physio. But I thought it felt very similar. I'm very in tune with my body. I'm just going to go through the motions and train as I normally would on my normal days with some modifications. So I decided, because it's a shoulder injury, to take out some of the heavy overhead movements like a lat pull down, and also unstable pushing exercises like a dumbbell bench press. So I did a single arm lat pull down on a bench as my lat pull down movement at a 45-degree angle. And then I also changed my dumbbell press to a machine chest press.
Nice.
And took out a pec deck fly because that took a bit too much stress on the shoulders. So 3 weeks later, like, I just pushed a pretty normal load this morning and yesterday. So push and pull, pretty normal loads back again, which has been fantastic. But I guess moral of the story is, like, depending on the severity of injury, of course, like, keep moving with some modifications. Obviously, if I did some serious damage there,
you'd know.
I would know, and I would have booked into the physio straight away. But I knew that it felt good after a week and I could start progressing. But I didn't go straight back up to my normal loads. In fact, I'm not quite up to my normal load on my dumbbell press and my pec fly and my pull-ups just yet. So, and that's been 3 weeks. So I've been very, very patient, and it will probably take me a couple more weeks to get back up to my normal load again.
Yeah. And when you sublux your shoulder, or you do anything like that that's unnatural, where you might have stretched a ligament or you may have stretched a tendon and just a bit of irritability in the joint, we've spoken about this, I guess, briefly. Your brain sort of switches on initially and gives you a bit of pain, and there might have been a little bit of inflammation there initially, that acute stage. And then it just sort of, your brain's in a little bit of protect mode, and it just keeps you a bit stiff there, and everything locks up to protect, which is great. That's the good thing. And what you've done is really good. What we've done is you've come back to the gym. You're like, okay, this feels similar, which is totally fine to do. Like, that's a main question I ask to people when they come with an issue. It's like, have you had it before? Is this different? What's different about it? And all that type of stuff. And I think it's great that you've gone back in and be like, okay, I've remembered, what did the physio give me that time? Did it work? Great. Let's give it a go again. What you can do as well, like, you've modified your workouts, which is fantastic. I think you can modify your warm-ups as well. And you can be very specific to that joint. So let's say it's your left shoulder, for example. We do what feels good. We want to inhibit and switch on those muscles, not to fatigue, but just to get them a little bit burnt, so to speak, and just switch them on and get them prepared, because their nervous system needs to be prepared to work out, needs to be prepared to exercise, especially if you're lifting loads as heavy as my friend Sam here. He pushes some serious weight. So getting those ready to go and being very specific with your warm-up, as boring as that fucking is is really, really important to keep you in the gym, because there's nothing worse than actually having to stop. Like if he tore a rotator cuff, he would be out for weeks.
Yeah.
And that's, it's a really, really vulnerable and important area of the body. So what Sam's done is perfect, and teaching your brain to be like, it's actually okay. Movement is okay. I feel good. Then it just unlocks a little bit more, and that's a really important part of it. So don't be afraid to train. You will know if you need to go to the physio. Try and go to the physio before a GP if you can for musculoskeletal things. If a physio thinks you need to go to a GP, that's a much better path to go, in my opinion. But typically start with a physio and don't wait 50 minutes beyond your appointment time for a GP to come and see you and send you out in 5 minutes later, because they've got to get to their 70,000th patient of the day. But yeah, great effort. And you barely even questioned me on it, because you already sort of knew what you needed to do, which is great.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of improvement, so it's almost back to normal now. It's not giving me any grief in like my day to day.
Yeah.
The only thing is probably like rear delts, where it gives me like a bit of a pinch, but hey, the way I'm going, I'm seeing progress on like a daily, weekly basis. So I know I'm on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that can be done for the rest of the body. With any of your injuries, guys, I think that initially for the first, 2 and 3 days, we start to worry, not even worry, we start to get a little bit more cautious when your sleep's disturbed, when you have neural pain or numbness or headaches or whatever the associated thing is. If there's accessory stuff that is bothering your day-to-day activity, then maybe it's time to, and we're, 3-4 days down the track, a week down the track, then maybe it's time to see that health professional.
Yeah, well said.
I've had a couple of clients, 2 clients in particular recently, who have been absolutely smashing their main gain phase. Shout out to Alana and Anthony. They've, and initially it's a tough conversation to have, where you're like, it's the end of the cut now. It's time to pick up the calories and, put on some muscle, and maybe we'll chuck on a little bit of fat, and that's okay. Bit of hot, bit of cushion for winter. And they have both now been around the same time, have gotten to the stage where they're like, oh, I'm starting to feel fat. And it's really tough, to be fair. Like, I've gone through the same thing where I've cut down and I'm like, damn, I love how I look right now. And then I've gone into this bulk and I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting fat. I need to cut right now. And I look back now at when I thought I was fat. I just laugh. And like, I try to, and it's really, really hard as an individual to look at yourself at that current point and be like, yeah, I still look fine. But I'm certain in 6 months' time, these two are going to look back at the time they thought they were fat and be like, I'm a dickhead. So that's the point they're both at. And it's, I guess, what I've said to them is that I actually want to pick your calories up, because you're actually plateauing in terms of your weight gain, and by 100 calories. And I asked them, do you feel like you could eat more? Are you getting hungry? Are you okay with eating more? That type of thing. And the benefit of eating this amount of food is their recovery and their training. And the other questions I asked them are like, how's your mood? How's your sleep? Is it better than when you're in a cut? And the answer is normally yes.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I think a good thing to think about, like when you're in the cut, is, you love the look but not the feel. Being shredded looks great from the outside, but on the inside it feels pretty gross. Like you feel like a shell of a human, basically. And like we said in the previous podcast, you're only as lean as you ever were, your leanest state. So if you have gotten down to a very lean state before, like your clients have, well, they're only going to compare themselves to that lean state. But you need to go back to what is your end goal. Your clients, assuming they're wanting to add on more lean muscle and get stronger, well, they can't do that in a deficit. They're never going to reach their end goal. They're just going to stay in that same spot forever in that deficit. But if they get out and get comfortable being uncomfortable, be in a build phase for a little bit longer in the short term, well, they will be able to do a cut further on and they'll be able to unveil the gains.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a much bigger change in their physique.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I've said to them, and this happened to me, I think we got to a stage where I was like, I want to cut. And you're like, why? Why do you want to cut? And it's like, I just feel like I'm getting big. And it's like, you get to the point where you get to the point, I feel like I got to the point in my build phase that I was like, I was just ready, more so than how I felt about being big, but I was ready to just see what I'd done. And I feel like you get to a point where you're just like, all right, now I'm ready to go. And you'll see, I think, with the build phase, you'll be like, all right, now we're putting on maybe a little bit more fat than we are muscle. Maybe we've adapted too much now. Now it's time to cut and unveil the gains. And we always look leaner and more toned with the more muscle that we have.
We certainly do.
So if you were shredded beyond belief and then you went into a build, you will look even more shredded when you have more muscle.
Yep. At a higher body weight too.
At a higher body weight.
Yep.
Muscle weighs more than fat.
Muscle
Is that
weighs
truth?
Fat. Yep.
Yeah. So
it's more dense.
Yeah. When you're 5 kilos heavier and the same amount of body fat, you're going to look more shredded.
Well, thanks for joining us for what was episode 26, guys. Don't forget to give us a like on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we hope to see you on the next episode. Peace.